substantial non-compliance with relevant law. Atiku, in the petition filed by his team of lawyers, has said that there was a breach of the extent of the laws as provided by INEC. So initially he had filed a suit to be there for the BVAS reconfiguration, which was withdrawn from the court. But now Atiku's position is declare me the winner of the election or order a rerun. And this should I say petition is filed on the grounds that the rules that were stipulated for the conduct of the general election, especially by INEC, were not obeyed. He's also talking about the fact that we could not upload the RF on the RF portal, and then INEC still went in ahead to declare the APC flag bearer Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is grounds to cancel the election, declare him winner, or order a fresh rerun. Fuhad, what are your thoughts on these demands that are being made by the APC flag bearer, PDP flag bearer? I beg your pardon.
Well, we had expected this. We knew that eventually the courts would have to, of course, make pronouncements on these cases. Again, it's just about the election cycle. I've always said that the cycle is not complete until we are able to see this process through this period of court hearings and of course pronouncement. So it is the right thing for the PDP to do, as provided for in the Constitution, that look, after every election, if you feel dissatisfied about the process, put your documentary evidences together and then approach the court for hearing and pronouncement. And that's what they've done. That's what we have always talked about. And again, these are interesting times. The Labour Party, of course, filed their own cases too, I think, yesterday. And so it is time for us to begin to listen to lawyers of the different parties as they argue their case. But I need to mention again that the law is not about emotions.
Yeah.
It's not about sentiment, and it's not about belief. It's about fact. And like they always say, who alleges must what? Prove. So it will be nice to see what the courts are going to make now. The pronouncement from the court. Sorry. There are issues I'm waiting for to see where the court, what the opinion of the court will be on them. For example, the issue of 25% in 24 states and the SCT. I'm waiting for the court clarification on that. And then the issue of the guidelines of INEC in terms of their inability to upload the results directly from the polling units during the presidential election. So a lot of issues really about the conduct of the election. Again, this process will be a bit different from the past presidential elections and the way the the courts handled it. And I'll tell you why. This is the first time that we're having beavers deployed for our presidential election. So we're going to see forensic analysis of results. We're going to see analysis of data, massive analysis of data at this time. In the governorship elections that we are deployed beavers, these were one-off elections in Osun, Anambra, and Ekiti State. So we're dealing with figures in their thousands. Well, now we have figures to deal with in the millions, and it will require a lot of forensic analysis, a lot of expert analysis to be able to tally some of these figures for these parties to be able to make their case. Again, the law is not about emotions or sentiments. It has to be about facts and what you're able to bring to the table to prove your case. So, interesting times for Nigeria as we look at the last lap of the election cycle.
Very interesting indeed. Well, as I said before, Atiku is asking that the tribunal declares him winner or order a rerun on the basis that INEC did not exactly follow the stipulated law that was put forward by them. And also, the law definitely provides that for you to be declared winner, you have to win at least 25% of votes in at least 25 states, including the Federal Capital Territory. And Atiku is arguing the fact that the now president-elect did not actually get 25% of votes in the Federal Capital Territory. And because of that, INEC had no right, in a manner of speaking, to declare him a winner. So just like Fuhad has said, I think it's really up to the court to, scrutinize the evidences that are being brought before it and then make a decision at the end of the day. This is on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Briefly now, let's move. Another headline here. NLC threatens strike as CBN orders bank to come for old note. Again, we are back to the conversation around the Naira scarcity and the Labour Congress finally deciding to do something about it. Let's look at the story. Nigeria Labour Congress has directed public sector workers to embark on a nationwide strike beginning from next Wednesday. Its president, Joe Ajero, gave the directive yesterday during a brief meeting in Abuja. He also directed the affiliates to get set for picketing of Central Bank of Nigeria branches across the federation. Before we talk about the CBN's response to this, Fuhad, better late than never?
Well, yeah, better late than again, I talked about the 5 levels of checks and balances that we have in a democracy. And I said, yes, we have the executive, we have the legislature, we have the judiciary. We also have the 4th estate of the realm, which is the media, which is supposed to set the agenda, which is supposed to inform the people about policy issues, and a lot of times to set their minds aright on a lot of the issues that affect them. The last one, and I think we may be seeing that level of checks and balances now, because again, on this CBN and cashless policy issue, we had hoped that the legislature was going to be able to step in and get the CBN and the federal government to do the right thing. They failed to do that. The judiciary did their own part by making a pronouncement to say, look, allow the old and the new notes to run till December 31st. So we're waiting for the executive to properly implement that decision of the court, but that's not happened. So it's good that the media has done their own job by not informing Nigerians about these things. Now, we are now seeing the Labour Congress, which is part of the fifth level of checks and balances, the Labour organized union, pressure groups, civil society organizations. And I think we may see the CBN now listen and find a way to implement that decision of the Supreme Court now. Now that the Labour is threatening to go on strike, I think part of the release Labour union is that they're going to protect CBN offices across the country. So again, all Nigerians are asking for things, basically for the CBN to make notes available in the bank. We want to return to our normal life. We had our normal life going before the introduction of this policy, and there was a cashless policy even before now, because again, there were limits to what you could withdraw and all of that, and people were also doing a lot of transactions using bank apps and all of that. But they brought up this policy, explaining that they wanted to fight vote buying, illicit funds and all of that. But implementation became a problem. And what Nigerians are saying is to say, look, now there are no votes to buy again. The election cycle has ended in terms of casting ballots and all of that. So can we now return to our normal life? That's the basic thing. And I guess the last time the CBN governor was addressing Nigeria, I shook my head because he only just glossed over the issue of the cashless policy. But it's nice to see that the Labour Union is putting the required pressure on the CBN to do the right thing, and that's the way to go, really.
Well, it would seem that pressure definitely has achieved something for the people of Nigeria, because The Guardian is reporting that reliable sources at the CBN has said that last night, banks had been ordered to collect the old Naira notes deposited at the CBN, assuring that before the end of the week, the country would be awash with the currency. They said that there would be... They say there would be no need for any action by the Labour. So it would seem like the CBN is trying to actually, prevent it before it starts. Just the threat has triggered the CBN to do something about this. And sources, according to the Guardian newspaper, has said that there was some sort of meeting between the CBN and I believe the commercial banks, and they have been told to come and collect the old Naira note and circulate it appropriately. So Fuhad, that's it.
So do you see why we must have a vibrant Labour Union in a democracy?
Yes.
And people don't know. For example, when the federal government was trying to break the ranks of ASU, some of us frowned against it, because you see, when you have a strong Labour Union, when you have a strong civil society group, civil society organization in a democracy, it also provides some level of checks and balances. And that's what we are seeing here now. Just a trend from the Labour Congress now, we are seeing the CBN acting on it. So that's the beauty of democracy, and again, we would encourage the Labour Union to remain firm, to remain committed to their roles as pressure groups, and continue to fight for the interests of ordinary Nigerians. I think good one from the Labour Congress on this one.
All right then. On page 3 of the Guardian newspaper is where you find the full story if you're interested in reading further. There's another headline here: World leaders hail Elumelu's impact on Nigeria and Africa's economy. Okay, let's look at this very briefly. President Muhammadu Buhari was joined by his colleagues across the world yesterday in commending the impact of foremost entrepreneur and chairman of the United Bank for Africa PLC, Tony Elumelu, on the African economy as the icon marked his 60th birthday. Okay, so it was Elumelu's birthday, and the president and other, yes, they congratulated him and they acknowledged the impact he has had on the Nigeria economy, which definitely is worthy of note, because I think that he has certain schemes for youth empowerment, and I believe that there are lots of people who have been able to break the yoke of unemployment by means or by virtue of some of the opportunities as provided by Tony Elumelu. So we can understand why this is a story on the front page of the paper. Congratulations to him. Let's move forward now. Page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. Healing cannot happen without justice, Road Vivor replies Tinubu. Let's look at this. It's really the cash policy and the electoral issues that seem to be topping all the stories on the front pages today. But that's great. So let's look at this. The governorship candidate of the Labour Party, Gbadebo Rosevivo, yesterday told the president-elect Asiwaju Bola Tinubu that healing could not happen without justice. He said that a free and fair election might not be possible under his presidency. Rosevivo, who spoke in his office in Victoria Island, lamented that the outcome of the governorship and House of Assembly elections last Saturday, March 18, 2023, was far from democracy. If you remember, I think this is more or less a reaction to the statement that was put forward by the president-elect a few days ago, where he says that it might be time for us to consider peace. Let's come together. Let's work together. He's basically extending an olive branch to, the other participants of the just concluded presidential and governorship election alike. I apologize. And so Atiku Abubakar was actually the first to react to this, where he called the statements by the president-elect hypocrisy. Those were his exact words. Well, Gbadebo Rosevivo is saying that the healing and peace that you're calling for might be impossible in the face of injustice. What do you think of the reactions that have trailed the statement by the president-elect Bola Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu calling for healing and peace in the land?
Well, there's nothing wrong in calling for healing, really. It's, of course, one would expect that that's the right thing to do. As a president-elect, he shows he's seen as someone who is ready to work with everybody and unite the country. So there's nothing wrong in him making the statement calling for healing at this time. But again, like Rosevivo said, healing cannot come when justice has not been served. And so to get justice served, I think we have different levels to get that happen. And I think one of them already ongoing. And I think more cases will be filed in court. I keep mentioning that, look, the election cycle is not complete until we have pronouncements from the court taking care of some of the questions that are raised already by dissatisfied parties in this election. So until we have those pronouncements from court, get them to make pronouncements, look at all of the cases and all of that, we cannot completely talk about healing, because the election itself is not complete as we speak. Yes, we have elected people, but again, there are people where victories have been upturned by the court, and it's not impossible in this case too. But again, we're not trying to preempt the court, but I'm just saying that, look, healing will come when we've gone through the entire cycle. And like I just said, it's not wrong that the president-elect, as declared by INEC for now, is also calling for healing. But it's going forward, after all of the court processes, for us to really heal, it will also be dependent on the actions and inactions of the politicians.
Right.
And I think it starts from the desk of the president-elect. What he's able to do in terms of taking care of the religious peculiarities of Nigerians, in terms of taking care of ethnic fears and anxiety of different groups in Nigeria, would determine how fast we are able to heal as a nation. We have to acknowledge the fact that more than ever before, we are now heavily divided along religious and ethnic lines.
Definitely.
And we just have to accept that fact now. So whatever the president-elect, eventually after all the court processes are completed and he still remains the president-elect and is sworn in, what it does in terms of bringing people together, in terms of leadership, taking care of the fears of people in terms of their religious concerns, ethnic concerns, will determine how fast we are able to heal. And then the final one will be about good governance.
Yeah.
If Nigerians get good governance from it, if we are able to sort out our problems, if there's prosperity in the land, Nigerians will naturally eat without any problem. When we are playing football, when the Super Eagles are playing, nobody talks about division. Nobody talks about all of these issues of ethnicity or religion. We all go there, watch the match, support the Super Eagles as one Nigeria. And so if we get good governance from the next government, if prosperity comes back to the land again, I'm sure we'll eat very fast at the nation.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Fuhad. That's it for the Guardian newspaper. We're moving on now to the Punch newspaper. The top story here, CBN to flood banks with old Naira note. Right as to the story, banks get old 1,500 from CBN today to prevent NLC action. Emefiele orders end to cash withdrawal limit during meeting with bank CEOs. I think this has a more extensive report regarding the meeting that the CBN governor apparently had with the commercial banks. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria has finally concluded plans to release the 1,500 and 200 Naira notes in its custody to deposit money banks. The way they wrote this report, like the money was being held hostage in one prison. I don't know.
That the money has been destroyed.
I mean, that's what the CBN officials said before. So, a threat from the Labour Congress, and suddenly, I don't know, we developed regenerative powers and we're able to stitch the currency and the notes back together, and we're flooding the polity with it. A win is a win.
Because again, I'm careful to take promises seriously in this country.
Well,
so we have to, of course, we have to be careful, cautious optimism on this,
Yeah.
So let's we have the notes in the banks, and then the queues are no longer there. People can walk in, withdraw what they want to withdraw. We get a lot of the ATMs working again. I think the NLC should still remain on their move to go ahead with the strike.
I mean, let's see what happens. It will happen on Wednesday. It will start on Wednesday. That's next week, Wednesday. So I think the CBN has enough time to prove that they're actually serious about this. It's about 4 to 5 days, to prove that they're serious about this. So aside from the fact that the CBN intends to, recirculate the old notes and giving the deposit banks bulk of the money, they're also taking away the restriction on the amount of money that you can withdraw. There was a limit on it, individuals and for even corporate entities and what have you. And we even had some banks who had to put their own personal restriction of you can't take out more than 2,000 Naira. And also the system of having to generate some sort of form online before you can deposit the notes and all of that. All those stringent measures have been abolished as well. So these are the list of things that the CBN has, used as a follow-up of some kind of after the communique that was put forward to the deposit money bank. So like you said, I mean, it's good news, but then let's just be open-minded about this whole thing. All right, that's it for the top story here. You find it on the front page, and you get more details of it on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Now I'm still in page 2. 146 National Assembly candidates petition tribunals in 12 states. Okay, election petition tribunals in 12 states have received no fewer than 146 petitions from National Assembly candidates who are not satisfied with the results of the just concluded election. The states where the petitions have been received as of Wednesday include Edo, Plateau, Ondo, Kwara, Ogun, Bayelsa, Oyo, Osun, Ekiti, Bauchi, Lagos, and Niger. Some aggrieved candidates have protested in Ogun and Nasarawa State, vowing to challenge the result of the elections in court. You've said this time and again, Fuhad, litigations upon litigations upon litigations is going to happen. And just how many days since the elections? And right now there are 146 pending cases for the court to address. I do not envy whoever is.
Lawyers are good with petition. They know how to put the petition together very fast. So I'm not surprised that the tribunals already have over 100 cases for them. More are still going to come. I know more will come, and lawyers are going to be busy, and so I'm sure we're going to get some shocking pronouncements on the tribunals.
Oh, definitely.
Or for the cases that would end at the appeal court, there are cases that end at the court. There are some that would end at the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Yeah, but on all, I'm sure we're going to get very interesting pronouncements.
All right then. I guess this is going to be a case of let's wait and see. You can check. Yes, it's let's wait and see now. You could definitely check page 2 of the Punch newspaper for more information. Let's move now to page 19. FEC okays 454 billion for Kano Niger Republic Rails and others. So here, the Federal Executive Council on Wednesday approved the sum of 453.90 billion for the procurement of rolling stock operation and maintenance equipment for the Kano Maradi standard gauge rail line currently under construction. The amount includes 510.93 million meant for procuring 4 customized fire services, search and rescue vans in Seaport at Port Harcourt, Lagos Port Complex, Tinkan Island Port, the Marina headquarters of the Nigeria Port Authority. The Minister of Transportation disclosed this to the State House correspondent after this week's council meeting. So projects have begun. They've approved the finances for these projects, especially the Kano Maradi standard gauge. And aside from, the equipment for construction, they've also, gotten safety materials as well for fire, search and rescue vans, and, protection provisions have been made as well. So, I mean, that's one good thing in the face of all the many chaos that we've been wading through the last couple months.
But I'm sure you listed a number of projects now. But if you look at the report, basically there's this highlight on the Kano Maradi standard gauge rail line. That's the J report.
It's currently under construction, yes.
So you can see that there was a particular spotlight on that one.
Yeah.
And of course, there have been times that people have questioned the commitment of this government to having a rail line linking Nigeria to the J report.
Yeah.
What exactly are the economic benefits? Why is the government so committed to constructing a rail line from Nigeria to the report? Again, I don't think much has been said on why the government seems very committed to that particular project. But one would think that maybe there are economic benefits, there are bilateral trade agreements that this rail line will facilitate along that corridor. Because again, Nigeria is one of the neighboring countries in the northern part of the country. So one would think that maybe there are economic benefits. We of course push the government to really commit to completing that particular project because there are people who have questions, and that's why I'm talking about it. But again, these are projects that monies have now been approved for. We'll wait to see how they are delivered.
Well, I know that there's been a lot of controversy regarding our relationship with, Niger Republic. I remember one time it trended when there was some sort of revelation, so to speak, or let's call it allegation, that the government, purchased some vehicles for Niger Republic.
No, they were not allegations. They were just a fact.
It was a very contentious issue because the question was, we're dealing with our security issue. This is probably the worst case of insecurity we've ever experienced in the country, and the paucity of service, the paucity, or should I say, the unavailability of equipment is one of the biggest impediments to the ability of security operatives to really tackle the problem. But for some reason, you saw it fit to make contributions to another country, thereby, prioritizing the security needs of another country over your own. So it was a lot of controversy. So I don't know. Like you said, maybe it's the economic benefit that Nigeria thinks they can get from Niger is why they continue to create this sort of
mix to doing things.
Yeah. So as more information comes forward, we'll definitely be sure to provide you with it. Page 19 of the Punch newspaper is where you find this particular story. Okay, let's go to page 27 now. The top story is, or the headline is, United Kingdom to least electoral offenders plan sanction. I know Fuhad's position on this thing already, but really? Yes, I do. But let me read it. Fuhad, I definitely know your position about this. But then let's read it. We do have here, I apologize. Okay. The British High Commissioner has said that the United Kingdom Minister of State for Development in Africa, Andrew Mitchell, is prepared to take action against those who engage in or incite electoral violence during the just concluded general election. The Commission said the United Kingdom was already collating names of perpetrators and would impose sanctions, including preventing people from obtaining UK visa or imposing sanctions on the human rights sanction regime. So the United Kingdom has said that for those of you who committed electoral offences, the punishment is going to be you probably would be denied access into the United Kingdom. And in fact, they have started a collation of some kind of those who they suspect to be, involved in these offenses, and they will take the appropriate action moving forward. My question really is, why does it seem like the United Kingdom is more proactive in dealing with this electoral offenses, or dealing with those who were involved in electoral offenses, than those of us who actually, in Nigeria, where it actually happened? Because I've not really seen anybody talk about the punishment that would be meted out on those who committed these offenses from any relevant stakeholder here in Nigeria.
Well, I think the UK and the United States have always maintained that they were going to sanction electoral offenders. They've always said it. I think their major point of sanction has always been that they were going to deny them
access
to their countries, access to their countries and all of that. If that's what the United Kingdom thinks is the right thing to do, to ensure that people stay away from electoral offenses and violence, well, so be it. They own their country, and if they decide that that's the best way to help contribute to the deepening of democracy in Nigeria,
disregard for democracy.
I don't think we have to question that. My own worry, and I think I understand what you said, my opinion, is just that the African in me, that radicalism in me, as someone who believes so much in the potentials of Africa, gets me a bit worried when Western powers, Western colonial masters, who are supposed to also at this stage apologizing to Africa for what they did, comes up in the open to talk about visa restrictions and ban and all of that. Again, it's a wake-up call to Africa. It's a wake-up call to Nigeria that, look, let us sit back home to develop our country. We are hoping that we're going to get leaders who understand these basic things. See, there are countries in the world, third world countries like Nigeria in the world, and I think when I say third world countries, there were third world countries, developing countries in the 70s and 60s who have gotten it right now. Yeah. And I can tell you for free that if they have electoral problems in their country, the UK dare not tell them about visa ban. Because those are countries that don't even bother to go to their country. They go there for holidays to do businesses. So what we're saying, and what I'm saying basically saying is that, look, yes, the UK has a right to decide that they want to treat electoral offenders in Nigeria. But I'm saying that it just goes to show again, if the only thing they can talk about is visa ban, just to show again that, look, we need to sit back home and develop our country. It has to get to a point. Look, my mom would tell me that there was a time that, look, going to UK was nothing new.
A luxury.
You get the visa at the point of entry. It was not a big deal. And I'm hoping that we're going to get to that point where Nigeria, again, is a great nation, where we are not bothered about, okay, would an Emirati now be willing to run to the UK?
Yeah.
Just imagine the way our youth were running out of the country. Are you telling me an Emirati, somebody from Dubai, somebody from Qatar, a Singaporean, a Malaysian, a Taiwanese?
I don't think they'll be moved by a threat of a visa sanction. I wasn't going to come before.
And these are countries that were almost third world countries like us. In fact, some of them were better than them. Malaysia, in the 70s, came to Nigeria to collect, what's it called? So the reality is that, look, African leaders need to sit back and put on their thinking cap. We need to build this continent. We need to build this country called Nigeria, so that Nigerians can sit back home and be proud of their country. It's worrying for me when things like this come up as a threat.
Fuhad.
It's that bad.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. You're still listening to Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. If you're just joining us, welcome to you. All we are doing is looking through the papers, talking about the stories that made it to the front page. We have looked through the Guardian newspaper, and the top stories, as we have been discussing, is basically about the cash crunch, order by the CBN, or the outcome of the meeting by the CBN and deposit money banks, and we're hopeful that in another week we're able to get access to the old Naira notes. And a lot of people, well, according to the reports in the paper, this decision by the CBN to be proactive in the disbursement of the old note, it might not be unrelated to the threat by the Nigeria Labour Congress to go on ahead and proceed with a strike starting on Wednesday. It's 8:12 a.m. here in the city of Lagos, and we're continuing to look through the papers. My name is Babalola, and I am joined virtually by Fuhad, Saheed, and we're talking or analyzing these reports. So let's move forward now. We're on page 13. The headline: Jubilation in Abia as INEC declares Oti poll winner. I keep saying, Fuhad, is it Oti or Oti?
Oti.
Okay, because I keep saying Oti.
Yeah.
Oti, poll winner. Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission on Wednesday declared the governorship candidate of the Labour Party in Abia State, Alex Oti, as the winner of the last Saturday governorship poll in the state. For this was one very tough race, if you ask me. There was a lot of tensions were high. You could see even at the collation center in Abia State that party agents were almost physical whilst they were debating the results that were being announced, and it was all fingers crossed. But then I guess it's congratulations to the Labour Party, it's congratulations to Alex Oti, and based on the reaction that we have seen from the residents of Abia State, I guess it's safe to say congratulations to them, because this is a manifestation of the will of the people, again based on the reaction that has come out since INEC announced Alex Oti as the winner of the just concluded gubernatorial poll in Abia State. Do you want to comment on that?
You see, first, I need to say congratulations to the people of Abia State. Look, if there's a competition for the worst run state in Nigeria, I think Abia State would make the list. I'm honestly. And I think a lot of people of Abia State will bear me witness. Another state that will compete with Abia State will probably be Benue State, Taraba State, and then, yes, I think Benue and Taraba State. For me, I don't know, people may add their own state to the list. But I think I'm optimistic about the new governor-elect in Abia State. He's a fine gentleman, somebody who did so well in the banking sector. I think the former MD of Diamond Bank.
He's into finance,
Yeah, so he has a CV, and the way he has won the election, I'm hoping that he will compensate the people of Abia State with good governance. When I say compensate, I'm choosing my words carefully. Compensate and do the right thing by actually giving Abia people good governance for once, which they have never seen from 1999 till then. It's been stories of lack of performance. It's been stories of their past leaders stealing their money, and all they do is after being governors, they just go to the Senate to go and relax there. We have the stories of the Audi. The stories are still in the news. And the last governor, really, this was a two-term governor that was not even able to go to the Senate. So I want to congratulate the people of Abia State, and I'm hoping that the new governor-elect will do the right thing by giving good governance to the people of Abia State.
Well, that's it for that story. You can find the story on... Why can't I find it? Okay, page 13 of the Punch newspaper. Other stories here. Tinubu away for lesser Hajj and rest, says aid. Okay. I don't know why this is on the front page, but okay. Thank you very much. Also, I think that's about it. That's about it for the Punch newspaper. We can move on now so that we can manage or maximize the time that we have available to us. Let's look through the front page of the Nation newspaper. Headline story, as expected. Workers draw battle line over lingering naira scarcity. NLC directs picketing of CBN offices. Apex Bank plans to return old note. This has been addressed. The choice by the NLC seems to have caused the CBN to wake up and do what is expected of them, especially since the Supreme Court on March 3 asked that the old Naira note run concurrently or alongside the new Naira note, at least until December 31st. If a new decision will be made, we will know, and if by that time the old notes would have been fully circulated, the new notes rather would have been fully circulated, that there will be no need for the old notes, then we will see what will happen at the end of the day. Also here, article to court, declare me winner or order return. Also, we've spoken about this. This is just, the many litigations that have been coming up since INEC declared Bola Ahmed Tinubu the president-elect of the country. So let's look at another story. Okay, Labour Party wins Abia, PDP takes Enugu. Oti Umba, governor. So let's talk about Enugu State. As it is right now, the APC has 15 states, with 7 APC governors being re-elected. I think PDP has 9, the NNPP has 1, Kano State, and Labour Party in Abia State. So let's talk about Enugu. I don't think the same can be. The jubilation in Abia was not exactly replicated in Enugu State as PDP retained the state. Umba won. There was also some sort of contention about. Yes. Oh no, I'm talking about the Labour Party supporters now, because this was type of battle between a Labour Party candidate and a PDP candidate.
The story of Enugu, and I'm sure we'll end in court. If at the margin of victory, if you look at that result, it's about 3,000 votes only, because it was that close. Again, we can't talk about what happened other than to wait to see what the Labour Party will do in Enugu State. I'm sure they'll be approaching the court because, again, if you look at the margin, the way the elections were conducted and some of the issues, again, at the Enugu Collation Center, it was almost going to go physical between Labour Party agents and the PDP agents and all of that. But again, like you just mentioned, in Enugu State, it's a different case. The Labour Party was almost going to get that state too. Again, that's another state where the governor is seen as someone who did not really perform well. And so the people really, went for him. He was also a two-time governor that was not able to make it to the Senate. Again, these are two governors of the G5, Ikpeazu and Igwany of Enugu State, Ikpeazu of Abia. Those were two governors of the G5 who lost in their quest to go to the Senate as two-time governors. And the same for Autumn of Benue State. But again, the Labour Party almost getting Enugu, but it won't eventually. But we'll see what happens. I'm sure the Labour Party will be going to court in that state.
All right, then. That is it for that particular story. You can get more information on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. So let's look at this headline here. 19 Lagos train bus accident victims still on admission. The story is on page 6. Let's look at this. The Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau has said it would release its report on the Lagos train bus accident, which occurred in the Ikeja area of the state early this month. And I don't think that anybody will quickly forget the incidents that occurred, an accident involving a train and a BRT bus that, left quite a number of casualties, dead people and injured people. Well, they are just reiterating the fact that investigations are currently ongoing, and in a few days they would have an extensive report on, what exactly caused that accident, maybe extent of damage, probably a list of those who died and a list of, victims that are being treated. But as at now, the Lagos State Commissioner for Health says that there's still 19 patients involved in the bus accident that are receiving treatment, but quite a healthy amount of people that were involved in that unfortunate accident have been released and are still aftercare is still being provided for them. Do you have something you want to say about this, Fuhad?
No, we wish them quick recovery because again, that was an unfortunate one. The train and bus accident. Well, so that we don't again lose focus.
Yeah.
On what is supposed to be done by the government and the Nigerian Railway Corporation to forestall a repeat of such a thing. We are still pleading. And I think there were reports that has started. But again, we need to reconfirm and confirm. Barriers are needed at these railway crossings. At least in the minimum, there will be barriers. So no matter how quote unquote stupid a driver is, when the barriers are dropped, as the train approaches, the bus or the cars are forced to stop. So I think the best thing we can do for now is to just get these crossings to have barriers that can stop vehicles from crossing when a train is approaching.
Right. Page 6 of the Nation newspaper is where you get more details. Let's move on very briefly. 7 in battle for Senate President. North Central, Northwest join Southeast, South in race for top office. 7 senators-elect from 5 geopolitical zones have thrown their hearts into the ring for the 10th Senate President the nation has learned. All the aspirants are of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. 3 of them, Barao Jibrin, Kano North Northwest, Orji Uzokalu Abia North Southeast, and David Umahi Ebonyi Southeast. They have made their interest public to chair the next National Assembly. I think the one that really sparked conversation was the interest of the former Abia State Governor Orji Kalu when he says that I think that is my turn. Yeah, it's my turn. I'm deserving of this particular position. And I think there's some who are saying that that's the first. I think there was a conversation around first time senators also wanting to compete, but that's not the focus. But then again, also let's put into consideration the fact that there were rumors of the APC intending to zone that position because of inclusion. They wanted all the ethnic groups to be properly represented at all corners of government. Do you think this has any implication on the battle, or do you think that this would have any effect on who is going to emerge the Senate President moving forward?
Sage, I think this is one big dilemma that the APC would have to deal with. And I call it a dilemma because, again, this is the number 3 seat. You have the president, the vice president, and the Senate president is the number 4. position in the country. Now, for sake of inclusion, the APC would have to really, really dig it deep, get it right on this one. And I'll tell you why. Just two reasons. Number one, there's the Muslim ticketing that they need to sort out. Now, Jibin Barao from Kano State is the most experienced senator from the Northwood, as it is, that has been re-elected and is from Kano State. As we speak, he's already moving fast ahead of the other contenders. I think about a week or two ago, he hosted about 7 senators elect, to a party somewhere in Abuja. And he has shown his desire. He's not shying away from it. He's been very public about his desire to become the president. He is a Muslim. So the question is that, can we have a Muslim president, Muslim vice president, and a Muslim Senate president? That's one issue that the APC has to now deal with. Now, the other, because again, there are people who also argue about, there's no reason for us to begin to look at issues of religion. It should be about competence and all of that. But say, whether we like it or not, we have our peculiarity as a nation. Yes, in the course of it, morally speaking, we should be talking about competence instead of talking about religion. But the logic and the peculiarities of Nigeria requires that we take into cognizance our diversity in terms of religion and ethnicity. Now, for people who are advocating for the Southeast, yes, they are talking majorly about the politics of inclusion. That look, to really give that sense of belonging to the Southeast, the Senate presidency should be reserved for them. Now, who are the returning senators from the APC in the Southeast? Ojus Okalu is one of them from Abia State. The governor of Ebonyi is a first-time senator. And so there are questions about his eligibility to become Senate president. For Ojus Okalu, who is a returning senator, we have had reports from a group in the Southeast who have said that, look, although they want the Senate presidency, but not for Ojus Okalu because he has issues of fraud hanging on his neck. In 2019, he was jailed for 12 years on cases of fraud. And in 2020, I think the Supreme Court quashed it and ordered a retrial. As we speak, the trial is still ongoing. So, there are issues to consider in these things. But for politicians, I don't think they will be talking about these things. It's just about their personal interest and the desire to take that position. So we'll see how it goes. It's left for the APC to sort out. There are people who think that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is experienced enough to be able to solve those problems now that he's president-elect. Well, honestly, it's going to be tough, and it's a big, big, big problem that the APC would have to resolve.
Right. Grab a copy of the Nation newspaper and check page 4 if you're interested in details to that particular story. Government to install facial recognition technology at airports. That is a headline that the full story is contained in page 7 of the Nation newspaper. The federal government is set to install facial recognition technology at major airports in Nigeria. This was made known by the Minister of State, Budget and National Planning, Prince Clem Ikanada Agba, when he hosted the Japanese ambassadors in Nigeria and a team from NEC Corporation of Japan in Abuja. Okay, that's great that we are installing technology at the airport. I don't know what airport was it, Fuhad, where they're saying their operations are being delayed because they don't have a control tower. So I don't know if we're being too speedy. I'm just saying, like, this is I'm not. I believe in us. Are we jumping? Like, are we jumping?
I don't know what I'm celebrating. Installation of facial recognition in our
airport. It's a good thing now, Fuhad. We are making progress.
In other airports in the world, these things are available, and it's not even a thing of discussion again. But again, since it's going to be the first time we are going to do this, I think
congratulations. Even do. We have
congratulations to Nigeria. We are going to install facial recognition in our airport. Let's celebrate it.
Yes, let's celebrate. And also, please, they should put control tower. I'm trying to remember the airport. Please go and put control tower.
I don't want to be airport.
I don't know. Go and put control tower.
Honestly, stage without any, sense of prejudice against what we are doing here and all of. The reality is that our airports are not anywhere.
Yeah, they're in deplorable conditions
out there. Mostly, if you travel a lot, Look, the last time I traveled out of the country and I came back, and I saw a standing fan. Now, international airport, I just shook my head.
The breeze not blow you. The breeze blow you. Did breeze blow you? Yes or no? You see,
Even though she was making noise.
Even though, as long as it was not hot.
I'm telling you, there was one of the ACs that was working, and then they were drinking water, and then they put a bucket to collect. You saw, and these are things that make you just wonder, really, at this time and age. But we have to commend the government for thinking about facial recognition. I think the new airport also in Lagos, there's this new one that just been opened. I think it's a beautiful one. I hope we're able to maintain it.
Yes, maintenance. Maintenance culture is really nothing to write home about, and I think we really need to work on that.
Because again, this is about national pride now. The first point of entry to your country should be fantastic.
Oh, definitely. First impression really matters. The Nation newspaper, that's where we got that information from. Let's just run through the Vanguard newspaper briefly. Jubilation as Oti wins in Abia. Peter Umba emerges in Enugu. Terrorists kill 51 Zamfara vigilantes. Abandoned corpses in the bushes. Insecurity definitely is something that we need to, but in the budget it did get the lion's share of the budget, so we're hoping that they put it to good use and do what needs to be done. Polls, we will take action against electoral violence and instigators, says the UK government. Ramadan begins today. Tinubu not qualified to be sworn in as president, says Dati Ahmed. I regret my action, says grandma who set son and family ablaze. Drug trafficking charge, court declines to stop Abba Kyari's trial. And also here, INEC used a third-party device to switch results for Tinubu, an allegation by guess who, Fuhad? Fuhad, answer fast though, there's no time. He's article. Well, the rider, he said alleges Tinubu's appointee controlled INEC ICT unit on election day. Also alleges that third-party devices were installed. No server failures as claimed by INEC. Full results not uploaded before declaring winner. Tinubu did not get 1/4 of votes of FCT votes. That's the list of the allegations as put forward by the PDP flag bearer Atiku Abubakar against the now president-elect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That's what the Vanguard reports. Yes, let's see what happens. Well, that's it for Trends in the Papers. Many thanks for your participation. I appreciate you. My name is Sage Babalola. You're still listening to the sound of Lagos Mainland 98.3 FM. Fuhad, many thanks for your contribution to the stories. Thank you for your analysis. And by 8:40 we'll be back. It's Open Mic Thursday. That means that Mainland focus is largely dependent on what story you want to be the focus of the day. Don't touch that dial. It's still Mainland 98.3 FM.